Another day. Woke up alive again. Still stormy out there. Pissing rain. But I'll admit it does feel pretty comforting to wake up dry, in clean clothes, shaved, and at home with normal food again. Surrounded by all the good people in my life. Now, where to start? I received a mug in the mail. You know who you are. Appreciate it. You guys read that? I agree. Also received a whole bunch of stuff from our beautiful friend Molly. And I got a lot to read here. Lots to read here. And we appreciate and love you big time, Molly. As usual, as always. Now, what else? I think that's about it. Except yesterday, one thing when you do this by yourself, you don't have anyone to throw the ball back and forth with, live while you're talking. You know what I mean? And I've said it a million times, my brain doesn't mesh up with my mouth smoothly quite often. I have a shit pile of thoughts in there, a lot of knowledge I'm gaining in my mind. It all makes sense between my ears, and sometimes you go to blurt it out, it doesn't quite come across as intended, but, when you're actually having a conversation with somebody live, that somebody go, what? That sounds kind of stupid, what do you mean? And then you can elaborate more on your thought, which is tough to do when you're alone. But yesterday I said something to the effect of this big spiritual shift in humanity. And I said bullshit, only because I was comparing it to living at 100%, being very happy and healthy in the real world, the fresh air, in the where we are intended to be. You know what I mean? No man-made bullshit. And that's, I think, what I was trying to get across was no. Yeah, well, okay. I got an email or screenshot sent to me. It makes a lot of sense in reply. Maybe I should read that first before I babble. But what was I trying to get across? I'm trying to get across, if there's this great big spiritual, I feel there's this great big spiritual shift, this great big huge change in humanity, then it would affect 100% of all humans with a soul on the face of the planet today. That's what I'm getting at. I hope I'm still making sense. I'm probably not making sense. And when I say bullshit, it's like, no. Because if you're already aware of the bullshit, which I do understand, the shift is in the knowledge and exposing the lies of those evil bastards that have been programming society for quite some time. But what I'm getting at, that's all man-made. That's not a spiritual occurrence, I don't think. I hope I'm saying this the right way. I hope it's tough for me to deliver what I'm feeling and seeing as plain as day between my ears. There's a lot of people that are aware. There's a lot of people that make their own path and follow it, and they stay on the right path. And there's a lot of people that are just strictly led. They need to be led. They need to be told what to think. They need to be told how to feel. Do you know what I mean? And they need to be told what to do. There's a shitload of those people on the planet. And I do, yes, agree and believe that, yes, there's a shift coming for those people, that amount of that percentage of the population. But I believe in the source of it all is man-made. It's not the real world. And a lot of people have been born and raised, indoctrinated into that false frickin' existence, bullshit existence, right? Do I think that's spiritual? From what I've been learning, I guess what I'm trying to get at, no, that's not spiritual to me. Spiritual is, I think, where our soul is and where our soul comes from. And every single one of us has a soul. Man, see, I'm not going to make sense. I hope I'm going to make sense. And I believe when we're absolutely connected, naturally, and connected in the way we are intended to be connected, is when we are absolutely healthy, free of will, free of thought, free at thought. We have free thought, free will. No one controls us in any way. We know the difference between good and bad and what's right and wrong. And we follow that good path. I'm trying to make sense here. Let me pause. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to read a reply to me from my yesterday's little spiel, all right? Because it's tough for me to just hit record without any practice writing something down before I get on here with you guys and I just start babbling. And that's where it would be better off with me to have somebody throwing the ball back and forth to help me draw out what's between my ears. But listen to this. There's a reply screenshot by MyCoBlue9320 on YouTube. There is a shift happening, but it's a shift in consciousness, which is spiritual because everything is spiritual. You are evidence of the shift as your subscriber count grows and people become more aware of the real world. Steve, you're living the dream that you have created, but most of humanity is only starting to wake up to the fact that they can create their own reality and live their best life possible. The shift is internal, not external. As people begin to uncover truth about the world around them, this creates a shift internally, and they begin to see things differently. Where before they were subject to the programming by the powers that shouldn't be to believe we needed them to live and survive. No, I think you may not understand what the shift is really about. Once humanity begins the awakening process, it spreads to the consciousness via the technology we have had access to over the last couple of decades. The internet is like the neurons in the global brain, building new pathways and forming new ideas about who we really are and what our true capabilities may be that has been kept from us. The tech is not a bad thing, but how it is used against us is where the problem is. That said, you're doing what you do. Your doing what you do has opened up people to a completely new understanding to the fact we are not alone here in this amazing world. What you do has What you do has opened up people to a completely new understanding to the fact we're not alone here in this amazing world, so a little pushback on your comment about there is no shift. I would suggest that you may want to look at the shift differently from the standpoint it's an internal shift that happens first, but then becomes externalized as people come to new understanding about themselves and the world we all occupy, along with other beings as well. So, in my humble opinion, there is a shift. And you're the co-creator, whether you know it or not. Take what you will from this and leave the rest or not. I will lift my glass to that part of humanity that is waking up, thanks to people like yourself. Cheers. All right, yes, I understand, totally get it, and I appreciate the kind words. But we'll see how this plays out, right? I mean, these little doubles here, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like that little thing right there. Is instant knowledge at your fingertips, right? I mean, just imagine the knowledge you gain in a classroom over the first X amount of years of your life. You could probably replace that in a very small fraction of the time you're required to sit in that room at that desk if you just dive into knowledge on here. Is a lot of the knowledge misleading? Yep. Do we need to be taught about misleading knowledge? Big time. And I think that's what's going on today for sure, obviously. Now, let's just say there was a big bad monster who's organized a handful of other co-monsters, and they've been manipulating the living shit out of us, hiding our true history, hiding history nonstop, rewriting the history books. Proven. They've been doing that. Then they got it all wrapped up pretty tight, easily manipulating us, easily convincing us that they're like the fathers and the mothers of us, and they allow us to do this, and they allow us to do that, but meanwhile, we pay them to exist, and if we don't pay them, we'll be homeless. That's pretty disgusting. That is nasty right there, right? One of the many examples of nasty. And then, technology just slipped from their fingers and entered the main population. And there's no way out of it. And once this little double here is released to us, we started talking freely, and almost anybody can have a stage and an audience, whereas before, never. We used to celebrate being, when I was a kid, we'd listen to the radio station and you'd call in for whatever. Hey, call in right now, caller number 8 or whatever, or call in for your comment. And if you made it on the radio, that'd be a huge thing. Be phoning all your family. I made it on the radio. It's airing right now. Listen, listen, listen. Or maybe you're in the background of a TV news report on the street and you get everybody freak out. You're not going to believe this. I'm going to be on TV. Oh, that's the generation it came from. Now, and back then, imagine trying to have a voice globally. How would you do it? It's not possible. It's all wrapped up by those dark, dirty sons of bitches. What happened first was newspaper, then what? Radio, and then television. And us, the minions, we don't have any access to that to get a message from us out to the world previously, but we do now. What I'm getting is we do now, and that technology has slipped into our hands. So now, possibly, the big monsters, the powers that be, they got to come up with a new recipe to reel it in, get us back under control, because they're starting to slip in control a little bit. You know what I mean? But meanwhile, the people are getting a little excited. They're sharing knowledge. They're exposing truth, exposing the lying sons of bitches. They're exposing all sorts of shit that's been worked against us for generations now, right? But I think just to say, and then, a lot of people are saying to me, well, there's a big shift in humanity. Our DNA is going to change. Everything's changing. I don't know. Like to say, there's a lot of people, I like to say, including myself, that have been aware of and easily see bullshit from a very young age and all through your entire lifetime. That wasn't caused by a shift in humanity. That wasn't caused by a change in my DNA. My spirit? I don't know, maybe. I guess so, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Is it your spirit? Is it your soul? Why do so many of us see through the bullshit right away when another large percentage of society takes the hook and swallows it and doesn't even struggle and goes with it, goes with the mainstream narrative they want you to go with? I don't know. Am I making sense? I'm probably babbling, right? By myself with Adventure Dog at my feet, babbling to myself while it's piss and rain. Trying to have a conversation to make sense. If it is a great, big, huge, spiritual, massive global shift, I think for me to jump on board of that description, I would have to see the very evil people go behind bars across the board. All wars stop across the board. Freedom of speech become a real thing, which it isn't. Do you know what I mean? There's a few big clues, indicators there for me that would make me go like this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's actually happening. But those are some huge indicators that I would have to see to make the hairs on my entire body stand on end in celebration and awe, and I can't believe this is going down. Do you know what I mean? Because there's still people incarcerated today for speaking out against the true monsters around the planet. Right? There's a lot of people out there who are still incarcerated or being trashed and annihilated for clearly pointing out some serious truth that's still going down. So, have I seen the evidence that we are absolutely being freed of this fucked up system? Not yet. Not yet. Not me. Not yet. We'll see, though. Fingers crossed. I hope so. I hope so. But in the meantime, life is a choice. It's tough, though. It's tough for people to be shown the choices. Do you know what I mean? I mean, can you imagine being thrown into a family of absolute sheep who just they repeat what they hear. They repeat what they're supposed to say just so they don't get any flack. And you're born into a family like that. And then they raise you. It's going to be pretty tough for you to have absolute free will, right? God, I hope I'm making sense. I'm not. Who knows? Whatever. But we do have a choice to concentrate on the good. So I always try to encourage people to make sure you do what you love to do. That will help your spirit. That will help your soul. That will help your health. That will help you see through bullshit and that'll help you through life, and you can share that with others, encourage others, right? And I try to encourage people to eat the right food. I know it's not easy for a lot of people, but it makes a massive difference between the ears. It's eating the right food, moving your body, and doing what you love to do. That combo of those three items, that causes a great awakening and a great shift. That does. Am I making any sense? So, with my original statement yesterday, it's like, all right, I went and made sure that I did what I love to do every single day by myself without anything injected to disrupt that in any way. I saw clearly. I sweat. I had a goal. I had struggle. I had healthy food every day. I had sleep, water. It's all I drank was water. And holy shit, does that make an absolute frickin' massive difference between your ears and your body. And that's where all the change of good starts, I believe. Well, it's a good way to start it, right? And I guess what I'm trying to get my point across is I'm like, no, there's nothing different going on in the real world. Shit, no. I just spent 3 weeks of it out there. Everything's still the same oxygen, the same water, the same mountains, the same beauty, the same healthy part. It's all the same shit. It's been the same for zillions of years. But yes, I do appreciate the comment below, and I do agree. I agree. And it's good. It's just good to have somebody to pass that ball back and forth with when I'm trying to talk all by myself. Anyway, I'm going to stop babbling. I hope I made sense. Probably didn't, but I hope I did. I need a conversation with someone. Do you know what I mean? To help draw my thoughts out more clearly and share them here with all the people. That would help me communicate better. Anyway, we'll see, right? If it's a true spiritual awakening that's going to change the world, you're going to have to put bad people behind bars, and I mean the people at the top behind bars, exposed for what they've done, what they're doing today, number one. All right, I'm going to repeat myself. Stop babbling. Stop all wars. Let's see it go down. Right? Stop all wars. We'll see if that actually goes down. If it doesn't, then it's just a bunch of man-made shit delivered through these little items again. This shift. We'll see. We'll see. I hope so. Okay, enough babbling. People are probably unsubscribing by the moment. By the second here. Oh, well. All right, here we go. These are all recent. The recent column emails today. November 21st, 2024 video. You shared a story with us about a being that was chasing a couple of deer. It was running on all fours, then on two legs. It was signed off by my initials, DB. I sent that story to you almost 3 years ago, and it was with all of my sightings as of that time. A fairly large email. I didn't send it separately, so I'm not sure who might have resent it with my initials. That sounds really odd. Besides, I'm not afraid to use my name, Dennis Barrow. I have had an opening up of my experiences since you read my stories. By that I mean I'm able to talk freely about my experiences, and I thank you for that. Right on. That's good to read, good to hear. About 3 weeks ago, you read a story from a railroad employee out of Helena, Montana that worked the helper engines. He heard the Sabe talking when he was walking along the tracks one night. I know exactly where he was. And a year ago, when I was driving by there at night, I thought I saw an upright being run across the road just out of the headlights. You know, you can just make out something, but not in the full lights yet. I had someone ask me about the, quote, club no return, end quote, decal. They wondered if it was some kind of a cult or something. And I'm afraid I laughed pretty hard at that, and they walked off while I was laughing. Same thing here on a side note. I used to work at Home Depot in Kalispell, Montana, near where Dave lives now. One night as I got off work about 12:30 in the winter, I turned east on the snow-packed road. I started the drive across a small bridge, 80 feet long across a creek, when I saw what I thought was black smoke blowing across the road in front of me. I slowed way down and then stopped. The quote, smoke, end quote, was not smoke, but like a cloud crossing the road. It was about 15 feet in height and probably 30 feet long. It was black with thousands of bright little lights in it. It looked as if it was turning toward me and coming down the road. Fight or flight to over, and I was in reverse so fast and moving that I spun around in the road and got the truck in forward and rapidly left the area. I saw a cop back the other side of Home Depot and stopped him and told him what I saw. He checked my breath to see if I'd been drinking. What did I see? A portal? Who knows? I have had interactions with ghosts several times over the years also, working nights. I was painting a store up on a lift, maybe 3 a.m, when I saw a tall, thin cowboy in a duster walking through the store. I was locked in the store for the night. I called out to him. He looked toward me and waved. And as he walked through the back wall of the building, come to find out, several of the employees of this store, it is a farm and a ranch store that's been there for a couple of decades, had seen him. I've seen lots of lights, orbs, indoors and out in the woods, and most of the time I've just written it off to being tired. Not too sure now after everyone's experiences you read here. A couple of my sons were on an overnight rafting trip here in Montana a few years ago, and while they were in their tents, they heard a scream that shook them pretty bad. They said it was almost otherworldly. The boys, in their 20s and 30s then, are all outdoorsmen. I raised them in the woods. They know all the sounds animals make, but not this time. They said they were afraid. They pulled out their weapons. A few minutes later, they said there was red and blue bright lights several hundred yards away through the woods. No sound of vehicles or helicopters. The nearest road to where they were was about 10 miles away. There's lots of other ghost sightings, but for some other channel. Thanks, Steve, for all you do for us. Dennis Barrow, Helena, Montana. And there is a picture of the decal, Club and No Return. Another one. Appreciate that email, man. That's kind of weird about the email sent in, right? And just a chunk. A little odd, but this is an odd place where we talk freely about odd shit going down. Here we go. Who's next? This is another one titled Overwhelming Fear. Hi, Steve. I don't know if I shared this story with you yet or not, but listening to your November 22, 2024 post, one of your listeners sent in what they called hopeless fear. Well, I've had one similar experience, and this is it. The year was 1998. I was timber falling in California around a place called La Porte. After work, I left my camp to go exploring around the area. Since I had never cut logs in this neck of the woods, I headed out driving randomly up different logging roads, having a pleasant time, learning my way around a new-to-me area. I then came across an old mine, just off the side of the road. Being young and dumb back then, and totally into exploring caves, I stopped to check it out. The entrance was large enough to drive a pickup in, but this is what it looked like. A fairly deep pool of water in front of the entrance. It was probably 30 or 40 feet long and about half as wide. Then there was a mound of gravel in front of the entrance about 10 feet high, with another pool of water just inside the mouth of the cave. That extended back another 20 feet into the cave. After checking it out, I decided I was going in. So I went back to my truck to grab a flashlight and rope. When I turned around and headed for the cave, I was suddenly hit with an overwhelming fear that I couldn't explain. I didn't see anything, hear anything, or smell anything unusual. But this fear was so intense I couldn't shake it off or talk myself out of it. And being someone who never second-guessed my gut intuition, I turned around and just left. Good move. Well, that's about it. Can't explain it. Never felt fear like that ever before or since. Had my share of near-death experiences, but nothing that registered anywhere near that kind of fear. Well, talk to you all again if I have anything significant to add. George Williams Sr. Yeah, we've heard from you and your son. I believe you're both loggers, right? You guys have had numerous experiences out there in the woods, as probably most loggers do. Only some ignore it, deny it, and others talk about it. Oops. What did I just do here? Appreciate you sending that in, man. Here's another one. What do we got? This is titled, Their Recipe for Abuse of Power Over the People. Them. You won't be able to attend a concert or football games. Me, I don't mind. Them. You can't go to a large shopping mall. Me, I'll survive. Them. You can't drink at the pub. Me, I no longer drink. Them. You can't enter nightclubs. Me, I don't go out at night. Them. Well, we'll tell your employer. Me, I don't have one. Them. We'll take it away from your salary. Me, I don't have a salary. You can't go to your job. I don't have or want your job. You can't be in the city. I prefer living out in nature. You can't go to McDonald's or Burger King. I haven't in years anyway. You can't eat at restaurants. I'll order takeaway. You can't shop at a large grocery store. I grow my own food and buy from local farmers. You can't be part of society. Me, I already checked out. Your kids can't come to school. I'll homeschool. You'll be on your own. I'm surrounded by my family and tribe and all the people reaching the same conclusion all over the world. You can't choose for yourself. I just did. What can we tempt you with? Me, nothing. When they have nothing you want, they have no power. And that's when power comes to the people. Words by Tariq Ek, or E-Q, Amawi. T-A-R-I-Q, caps E-Q, capital M, capital A, M-A-W-I. This post went viral when I wrote it in April, and day by day it becomes more and more relevant. Yep, true enough. I can relate to that fairly well, without a doubt. What else? Man, we got a lot of stuff here. Spiritual links, all sorts of shit off topic than what we normally talk about here. A lot, which is good. Okay, what's this one? How to contact the Sabe. Go to Northwest Native Tracker YouTube channel. Oops, did I just promote somebody I didn't know about? Owaisa, there, starting this year, is divulging her upbringing that included 8 years living with Sabe godparents who lived on her biological parents' property when she was a child. She was closest to, quote, Jen, end quote, a female of the Oma tribe who was about 8 feet tall and massive, much like Patty of the Patterson-Gimlin film. She knows their habits. She knows the tribe's language customs. She is currently active in the Pacific Northwest and is trying to pass along her knowledge because she has no native heirs to pass the knowledge to. Her family kept with native culture by fleeing the tribe because the tribe was being forced at that time to abandon their culture. Living on the edge of American society put her family close to the Sabe, and her family continued their traditional cooperation with them. Please have a look at the hundreds of videos she has uploaded, including photos. Yes, like many Sabe photos, they are hard to see, but do include intriguing detail. I ventured out locally in central Washington, where I live, and verified for myself the trail signs that Sabe leave in their foraging areas. I did so in a manner that prevented an interloper from planting fake sign. I was a fisheries biologist originally. Her larger mission is to show that the Sabe are people, good tribes and bad tribes, the red bone peoples such as Gugwe, and that there are trail signs left by the good tribes to indicate where the bad tribes are. She deserves some attention because she may hold the key to restarting cooperation with the good tribes. We can help them manage the activities of the bad tribes and reduce the 411 missing people cases. Yours truly. Keep my name off the air. All right. And added in a photo. There's a photo. That works. Interesting photo. There you go, sleuths. And remember before, there's a real popular video going around of a lady, Tara, excuse me, who allegedly is communication with these people. And she seemed legitimate to me. My gut said it's legitimate. Anyway, not that means anything publicly, but I do know too, like I said earlier, look for the patterns, right? And I would, maybe one time, I don't know if I could do it here, but I think sometime I'm going to try to corral up all of the links and all the names and all the people who allegedly are in communication with these people, and I'm going to listen to every single frickin' testimony they got, and we'll see what patterns there are. Right? That helps a lot. See what the patterns are. Might expose a lot of truth. Might expose some deranged people. You never know. But either way, I think that'll be quite helpful, especially at this stage of the game, right? Especially at this stage of the game. What do we got here? All right, this is titled, okay, here it is. All right, here we are. Steve, please see below. I had to forward it from my work email. I always believed, like everyone else originally, that these were just some sort of ape-like species. I always watched the stupid Bigfoot shows. It wasn't until I ran across your channel, took Dave Pilatus' Bigfoot class, watched all of Scott Carpenter's videos, and listened to your interview with Melba that I realized and had it set in stone what we are really dealing with here. I just told myself, well, I don't plan on going into the woods, and especially will not ever by myself. I'm part Cherokee, and I must be running late. I just got the ding-ding to go in for breakfast. Hold on a minute. I'm part Cherokee. My great-grandmother was full-blooded, and I was born in Virginia. I just told myself, well, I don't plan on going into the woods, and especially will not ever by myself. I'm part Cherokee. My great-grandmother was full-blooded, and I was born in Virginia. I'm a Bible-reading Christian, baptized according to Acts 2:38 as of 1996. I'm 55 years old, and I live in East Texas, not too far from the Big Thicket area. But I felt confident because I don't go into the woods. Melba lives north of me. No, I don't know her, but I feel like I do. I figured I'll never have to worry about seeing these things. Well, so I thought. One thing she absolutely warned about was never obsess on these beings. It will draw them to you. I agree. Well, it's kind of hard not to obsess when there are so many sightings and so many questions. When it becomes the thing you think about the most, that is unhealthy, not good. Agreed. It wasn't until this summer when I was lying in bed watching something on YouTube. I have a big window on either side of the TV with the cheap plastic blinds and clear see-through sheers. If the sun shines through just right, you can see anyone walking by. One night before dusk, I had a big male walk past my bedroom window as the sun was going down. I couldn't see its shadow. I could see its shadow of a monster-sized body with a conical head through the blinds. And then I saw it vanish in the middle of the second window. I literally saw it dematerialize in the shadow. All I could do was gasp in shock. I walked out several days later because I didn't even want to go out there to the side of the house for a while, and gauged it had to have been about 8.5 feet tall. By the height of my window. Maybe a day or two later, while trying to go to sleep, a female attempted to mind speak to me, and she said, "Whoops," like you would do if you dropped something or made a mistake, and then zapped me with some mild electrical type current or charge. It felt like I was hit with an electrical wave that rushed over my body. It didn't hurt, but it was definitely frickin' weird. I'm a prepper, so I took out some potassium iodide for a couple of days. I've heard they're radioactive, just from what I've learned. That freaked me out. The only thing that made sense was I have been baptized according to Acts 2:38, and she didn't like running into the Spirit of God. Whatever. They are still curious, just as much as we are. But I am a firm believer. They do like jacking with us. Then a couple days later, must have been her young one, about 4 feet tall, in my bedroom, cloaked. I could see the electrical fuzz off its spiky hair and outline. I left my bedroom light on, and when I rounded the corner from the hallway, when it saw me coming, it ran through the wall. So yes, they will come to your house and into your house. They do take a spirit form to physical form and vice versa. There was never any foul smell. And about 2 or 3 months later, walking my dog early in the morning about 4:30 a.m., my black lab stopped in someone's yard under a huge tree and just froze. I walked toward him to get him to move on, and I heard a female talking in a low, samurai-type garble language. But I couldn't see anything in the tree. Then it threw a small pebble at me from the tree. I called the dog and said, "Come on." Finished my walk. Thank God I haven't had any more occurrences. I started more research after that. I ordered the book of Enoch because I wanted to see what the history was with the Nephilim. It doesn't say anything about any of them being hair-covered. Definitely not the same as the giant of Kandahar, whom I believe was a form of a Nephilim. Only that God vowed to destroy the fallen angels, not only for cohabitating with women, but for teaching mankind how to mine metals, forge weapons for war, and they taught mankind how to do enchantments. I guess that's like witchcraft. It even says some of them repented, but God vowed to destroy them at some point for their sin. Enoch was Noah's great-grandfather. Only in the Old Testament it says that Elijah, who was a man of God, and God gave him Elijah. See, my brain and my lips just don't mesh up quite often. Only in the Old Testament it says that Elijah, who was a man of God, and God gave him supernatural capabilities, was a hairy man. I was shocked, but it doesn't say he was a giant. Steve, it's taken me a while to be able to write this. One, I was scared to put it out there. Not because of ridicule, but because I fear and respect my God, my Creator. I really hope this helps someone. This has been my experience, and I really hope and pray to not have any more. It's like God has a sense of humor and said, "You want to see what these things are about? Okay, but you may not like it." Thanks for everything you do, and don't throw your Bible to the side as foolishness, as most people do. Warmest regards, and thank you for your fearlessness and outspoken truth on this and other topics of this crazy-ass world we live in. Joey Z, Texas. Joey, appreciate you sharing your truth with us, man. You know, I think a lot of people, when they hear somebody say, well, it's just in my house, they went through the wall, went through the door, a lot of people are going, oh man, another crackhead. But how many times do you need to hear it until you think it might be factual, right? So many people have experienced these type of beings going right, standing at the foot of their bed, in the hallway, disappearing through the wall. And you got to think about it. How many people's brains tell them to come up with that bullshit story because they're bored and they need the attention? Do you know what I mean? I've said that a lot. Well, it's Friday morning. It's kind of raining out. Kind of bored, lonely. What should I make up today and throw out there online? Because it'll really benefit me. Said nobody. You know what I mean? Said some people, but not many. Not that many. Not that many. Anyway, I gotta go in the house. I'm not done here. So I gotta go in and eat my breakfast, and I'll come back out and I'll finish up. Back and I'm in. I'm back and I'm fed. Very fortunate. And Adventure Dog is back, and she's got a very chewable bone right at my feet. So we're gonna have to put up with that right now. Not much bothers me that way. Whereas Sarah can make her hair fall out sometimes by annoying sounds. But I'm good. Especially when that dog's willing to give its life to protect your ass, right? Give her, chewing that bone. This next email is titled, One Way to Possibly Get Answers. Hello, Steve. We learned to crawl before we walk and run. And I hear you when you say what you would do with the powers that are reported to be possessed by the forest people. I think someone has mentioned it on the channel before, but we all have at least one superpower we can learn to harness. It is called remote viewing. You basically send your mind's eye across space and time and can observe just about anything as far as I can tell. I don't think you can interact with people you are viewing. The critters you can interact with will send you packing. A slightly terrifying prospect. It's a power every human has. Some are going to be better than others. If we're going to develop greater powers, we better get more familiar with the ones we know about. This could be a great tool for discovering truths throughout history. We can't rely on the stories we have. Clearly. I believe this to be a gift from God, and I don't think it's evil, or some witchcraft for those that might be worried. The CIA started a remote viewing program in the early 70s. I'm sure it's still going. A good resource is free on YouTube from the Monroe Institute. There's a series of videos that will walk you through one approach of doing this. Hope this helps. Thanks for all you do. John. All right, John. That remote viewing thing's been coming up more and more and more lately. It's almost like, what are you going to call it, mainstream? A lot of people, a lot of truth-seeking people, a lot of truther channels are speaking of or to or claiming to remote view. I haven't had the time. Maybe I just haven't had the drive to look into it yet, but it's got my attention. It's on a shelf right here, so maybe I will start to learn about that. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, I'd imagine. I don't quite understand it yet. Like, I could never, if somebody asked me what I thought remote viewing was right now, I wouldn't have a clear answer. So I have to look into it more myself. But thanks for that heads up. I'm sure a lot of people are starting to become more aware of that and more, right? I don't know why. I listened to a handful of NDAs, near-death experiencers, this past couple weeks. And one thing I thought about was like, a lot of the people that die, they leave their body, and an overwhelming number of them claim the exact same thing, which is a pattern to me, including a friend of mine who died, described the exact same thing. And a friend of mine's father died in the room with all him and his siblings present. And what a very common pattern is for you, the experiencer, to be above everything in the corner of the room looking down, seeing what's up, what's going down. And also when people have died, they've seen the lights, different colored lights right up there above them all in the corner of the room. Strong pattern there. And I was listening to this one woman, a doctor, a couple different doctors I listened to died and came back. And both saying that it wasn't their choice to come back. And they were sent back, I guess, because they had unfinished business here, right? But it was interesting to see, when I was picturing it, it's like, okay, so we got a lot of people have died, and then they're brought back here in their bodies. And they're like, nope, you're not done yet. So there's obviously some kind of force, superior being, creator, whatever you want to call it, making that decision and send them back. But it's kind of weird at the same time to be aware of, if that's the case, that there are human beings here on Earth and they will decide that you're going to leave and you can't come back. That's kind of odd in a way. Hope I'm making sense again. You know what I mean? So you die, you pass over to the other side, you feel this absolute unconditional love, everything's cool, and then somebody somehow some group, individual, whatever decides, nope, it's not your time. You got to go back. All right, I get it. But the odd part is how a human being can take it upon themselves to decide that one of us, nah, you're leaving. I'm going to send you to the other side. I'm going to make it impossible for you to come back because I'm going to put a hole through your head. Right? That's a little odd that somebody here, a mortal human being, can have that power and make that decision. And nobody stops them. And I wonder what happens to them. What goes down when they pass to the other side after they decided in their actions made one of us, an innocent person, pass to the other side, and at the same time made it 100% impossible that they could turn around and come back, right? Via annihilating your human body. Odd, right? Big question. It's going to be interesting to find out what the answer to that one is. A lot of people are going to say, oh, they're going to go to hell. Maybe, maybe not. I've heard that hell is more of an idea than a factual place. I'm tending to lean towards that, maybe, possibly, I don't know. I know a lot of evil people alive today. Let's face it, they're living their hell as they are alive today, in real life. All the dark sons of bitches I come across in my lifetime, I realized quite a while ago that they are living their hell by being them during this lifetime. What a shit-eating sentence, right? I mean, think about a lot of the dark people out there, what they have to deal with, which is living this lifetime being them. Ew. Anyway, things to think about. I'm babbling a lot. I think I should probably get my butt going. Maybe. Oh, I forgot to read it from Molly. Molly, I'll read you tomorrow. All right? She has some stuff in there from Bobby Short that wasn't shared publicly previously. We'll get to that, and we'll get to a lot more. Hope it wasn't too confusing of a morning. Sometimes it can be. But anyway, share my story, howthunt.com. Get your truth to me, to the people through me, all right? Get it to the people through me. I'll be back tomorrow.